All right, I'm ready.
Who is LLD?
I'm Andre, Portsmouth, Virginia, born and raised. Visionary, entrepreneur, business owner, business minded, everything like that.
What motivates you?
Motivation for me is seeing other people win. It's not necessarily about me and myself or seeing what things people have. I never really cared about what people had to make that motivate me. Like some people see a car or that motivates them. You know what I'm saying? I just like to see people win. Seeing somebody win in general, that's what motivates me.
Is there anybody that comes to mind that kind of motivated you by seeing them win?
Just close friends. Very personal friends. Close friends of mine are a friend of mine is June Thompson, another business owner, entrepreneur. I watched him start from the ground up, in a lot of different things, and being this close to him as a kid to adulthood, that was like kind of some of my motivation. Not because of what he had, just the moves he made and how he moved to accomplish those things, So seeing that up close and personal is what really motivated me to do a lot of things I'm doing today.
So what are you doing in your free time?
Free time? I'm a coach. I coach youth sports, football, basketball. I hang in the cigar lounges a lot, heavy smoker. That's pretty much it, free time wise. I'm always writing in my book, in my notepad all the time. I write a lot, always creating, always visualizing new things to do, coming up with new ideas. So pretty much my free time is always creating.
So keeping with who is LLD, what is something major that happened in your life that makes you who you are?
Something major. I would have to say first, my kids. My kids being born, my daughters, my 3 girls, they changed how I looked at life in general, seeing that I had, somebody that I had to come home to every day, be more responsible for. It just changed my life as a whole. Holding my kids for the first time, it was just a different experience for me. It was a certain feeling that I never felt before and something I never forget. And the second thing, just, me being shot multiple times was a big thing that changed my life as well, how I had to move. And that was like a dramatic change for me, being shot, that kind of, it scarred me, but it turned my mindset into a whole nother space. So those 2 things, being shot and my kids being born, would be my 2.
So for a person that's never been shot, give us kind of how you bounce back from that.
Changing my circle, changing the people I was around, changing the places I hung in, just associating myself with the right people. And that goes back to who I talked about before, putting myself around somebody who was doing something positive, and sticking with that, not veering off to the side, staying focused. But for somebody who has never been shot, it's definitely life-changing experience. They make you open your eyes up to a lot of things, make you start questioning yourself a lot more about what am I really doing out here. And that's what it did for me. And I sat in a room, I was in a dark space for a long time when it happened for the 3rd time. It really put me in a bad space in life mentally. And I just had to question myself at that point and look at who I was around and just start separating myself, and my life changed for the better.
So we learned a little bit about you. So now tell us about social life. Like, the social life is what?
The social life is a platform for everybody, not just music artists, paint artists, entrepreneurs, all bosses, everybody. Anything that you're doing, if it's positive, if you're trying to move in the right direction, the social life is a platform for you. This is where I want you. This is where my fans want to see you. It's a lot of people out here that just feel like they doing enough. So I wanted to create a platform where people could come to and broadcast and advertise things they're doing. Like I said, again, it's not just music. It's for everything. Business owners, bakers, chefs, whatever you got going on, you know what I'm saying? The social life is the platform for you.
So it's a lot of platforms out there, right? And a lot of people may look at it and kind of judge it before they give it a chance. How does your platform differ from other social platforms?
Well, for my show in particular, I feel like the social life is different because I bring two different sides. Of course, we got the interview side where the guests come, but me adding a cooking segment to the show, I felt like that separated mine from just being necessarily a podcast. Going into the kitchen, bringing chefs and bakers in every week, I feel like that's what really separates mine and makes it a bit different. Because most podcasts, you know, they're just primarily in front of a camera in one setting, and that's pretty much it. You know, me adding that cooking segment on, I felt like that separated my show from just a podcast into its own lane.
So while we on the food part, what's your go-to meal?
Go-to meal? I'm a simple person, man, when it comes to food. I'm a burgers and fries type of guy. That's me, burgers and fries. That's always my go-to. It's been like that since I was a kid. Always kept it simple.
Onions, tomatoes.
Yeah.
Bet. So who is your target audience for the social life?
My target audience? I don't have a set target. Like I said, again, the social life is for everybody. Any and everybody. When I sat down and I created this show, I didn't sit down and think like, oh, I want to target only people who are interested in the local rappers or the local singers or local dancers or things like that. You know, I created a platform from the jump, and my whole thought and vision was just pretty much just making it about the guest, not about one thing. You know, like one guest may sing, one guest may tap dance. You know, it's just, my whole thing was just a platform for you, broadcast your talents, showcase your talents, and that's pretty much it.
Gotcha. So with everything, I think in hindsight, we always believe that timing is very important. So at what point did you say, you know what, it's the right time for this? What made you say this was the right time?
Just me being a former rapper. 8 years ago, I'm 30 now. So 8 years ago, when I was heavily into music and I was actually going to the studio, linking up with other rappers and stuff like that, it was a certain time frame where not everybody was doing it, but now it's a time where everybody is doing it. So I feel like now is a time where, you know, so many people who are untapped potential out here, especially in the 757, that just haven't been heard or just isn't getting the right push or enough push. So I just feel like, you know, this is just a great opportunity for some people, not everybody, because not to say that they need the social life, but some people have came here and been grateful for the opportunity. So that's why I'm saying what I'm saying now. I have had plenty of phone calls being grateful for the opportunity to bring on their brand, their music, their food, etc., you know, from being on the show.
Gotcha. Now I'm gonna throw a monkey wrench because we went over these questions before, but I didn't ask you this one. So considering kind of where you're going with it, where you mentioned that you actually do a lot of the stuff that these people are coming in and you're interviewing, what made you say, you know what, I'd rather help somebody else put them on a pedestal rather than you actually following your dreams to be that rapper or
I just feel like I had my time. My time, you know, I did it for quite a while, from high school up until I was about 23, 24. So, you know, like I said, I feel like I'm not the type of person that sticks with something for 20 years until it works. I feel like I do something for 3, 4, maybe 5 years, and it's time to move on to something different. My mind's always working, so looking for the next thing to get into. So to fast forward, in 2016, me and my guy Mark, Die For My Films, King Griff, whichever one, he got a lot of names he go by. We got together then and was trying to do this same thing that we're doing now back then, but it just didn't play out from a lot of different reasons. So me being a former rapper and starting out with him and seeing different things behind the camera, in front of the camera, I just felt like something else needed to be created, because like I said, everybody's doing so many different things now, not just rapping. So I felt like something needed to be created other than a rapper or a singer or a chef, where everybody can come to the same place and say, hey, I've been there before. I know how it feels to be on the other side of the camera, or work with somebody who's been in my shoes but isn't trying to take my spotlight for the same thing. So I just felt like that's just me. I like to show love, to be honest. It's just cutting it short, you know. Showing love is just how I was brought up. Show love, you get love shown back, or regardless of how, if it comes back or not, just always show love. So that's pretty much where I'm at with that.
So at this point, you've done a few shows. What would you say from those shows you would do different, and what's something that's pretty much been working for you that you want to keep going?
What I would do different is, I wish, since episode 1 up until the most recent episode, being 5 episodes in, me getting to know the guests more on a personal level after the show, building relationships with these people, these artists, these chefs, these bakers. I wish I could have got to know them more on a personal level before the show, because there was a lot of things that I learned after that I wish I'd known before, that I felt like would have been great content for the show. So that's what I would have changed. Just some of the questions that I have asked, I would have definitely asked different questions if I'd have got to get to know them personally before they came on the show.
Creates more like a chemistry.
Yeah, chemistry. Like I said, the chemistry was great, but it's just some things that I learned, just general conversation, just vibing out, that I picked up on. I wish I'd have got to see that side of them before we actually came on the show, but it's all love and everything was still great. But that's what I would have changed, and what I would do differently going forward is doing that exact thing, just learning the guests that are coming on a more personal level. So when they show up to the show on the day to shoot, we can be at a different level of chemistry versus down here prepping over the, you know, what we're about to go over and then shooting in front of the camera. I would definitely get to know them on a personal level before they get here.
Yeah. And what's one thing that you would say has been pretty much working for you?
Just staying active with the culture, what's going on in the local areas, staying active on social media primarily, not being afraid to ask questions, not being afraid to jump out there and say, hey, would you like to come on? Would you like to do business? Just staying active and being aggressive, not being afraid to put that social life brand out there and let people know, like, this is what we're here for, this is what I'm trying to do, this is what we got going on. And no knock to the people who didn't accept my invite, but now 5 episodes in, I'm grateful for the ones who did, accept the invite and come on, the same way they were grateful for me having them on.
So, with all that's going on, of course, we know we're actually voting tomorrow. It's a lot of racial tension, do you feel a responsibility, because your platform is kind of, it caters to a certain culture? How do you, or do you feel like you have to address certain issues that are going on outside of kind of what the social life kind of represents?
I don't really get into, I guess this would be me being a hypocrite, but I try not to get too much into the politics of things. I try to keep the social life. I try not to bring too much of like politics into the social life. Reason being because, you know, people have different outlooks on things, and some people get rubbed the wrong way when you try to bring politics into certain things, and it could make you really lose a friendship or a business relationship with somebody over how they look at certain things in the culture. So I try to keep that separate, you know what I'm saying, from the social life, because I have seen it happen before where I lost a close friend of mine over us having a small debate over presidents, you know what I'm saying, and how this person looked at one thing, this person another thing. So long story short, I try to keep, you know, politics separate, but I do personally feel like it's important to vote. Making a change, making a difference is always important, but I keep the social life separate from politics.
Gotcha.
If I can help it.
So 6-7 months from now, social life, what do you pretty much expect, or what should we expect?
6-7 months from now, definitely trying to be on a bigger stage, bigger level than what we already are right now. But currently the podcast lane is wide open. A lot of people are getting big time, prime time sponsors. I would like for the social life to grab a Spotify, Apple Music, iHeart Radio, one of those brands to sponsor the show, pick us up, put us on the network. That's the whole goal, getting on the network, getting enough content, solid content, stuff with good meaning behind it, and possibly being recognized by one of those brands as a great show that they wouldn't mind putting money into. So 6-7 months from now, I would like to see that being something that happens, getting that prime time sponsorship from one of those companies. And also, hopefully in 6-7 months from now, things will be back to normal where we can start getting to the concert scene again. So, you know, me having close friends who are promoters for a lot of parties and shows and things like that, me knowing I can get that backstage plug, I feel like the social life will have a front seat at something like that. So 6-7 months from now, that's where I want to be, you know, backstage, hosting other events, you know, representing my brand, the social life, taking the social life to another stage, you know, me being a host on something else, upcoming shows, events, etc., things like that. But definitely a sponsorship and just putting the social life on a different platform.
So you mentioned sponsorship. So talk to us. Of course, we see you got a sponsor so far.
Yeah.
Walk us through that.
Clout Cigars, man. Shout out to Clout. You can catch those guys. We are Clout on all platforms. But those guys, man, they like big brothers to me, father figures to me, man. Just being out and about, I ran across these guys. They said they had their own cigar brand. I'm all about supporting anything local. They actually got great cigars, smoke very good, and I'm a big cigar head myself. So I just came up with the idea. I told them what I had going on, and the idea just came upon me one day, like, shit, maybe I need to ask these guys would they mind sponsoring my show, being that we got the same love for cigars. And, you know, I hit Kevin up, and his response was, let's do it. And that's what we did. Right before the first episode dropped, he sent me the logo. We integrated everything. It was smooth sailing from there. But like I said, just being out and about, cigar lounges. But I was going to a club, man. I used to go to Origami every Friday. Every Friday night I would go to Origami. I would be walking up smoking a cigar. And, you know, the officers would always, you know, these 3 officers in particular would always say something to me about the smokes. And that's how we built our relationship, because they were, you know, the officers on the scene. And from that point on, we exchanged social media. and we've been close friends ever since. So, like I said, shout out to Clout, man. We are Clout, where you can find them at on all platforms. So shout out to Clout Cigars.
So we found out a lot about you. We found out about you, found out about the social life. At this point, what is it that you want to leave your viewers, friends, and family about you or anything at this point?
At this point, man, like I said, this goes back to a couple of questions ago. I'm just trying to, write my own legacy, you know what I'm saying, build my own brand, be my own boss, entrepreneurship on all levels, just being proud with what you're doing, just not being a copycat, being authentic, being original, and just trying to be great, integrating that into my kids. And like I said, putting myself around those guys that are on that level of entrepreneurship and being their own boss. That helped me create the social life, get a mindset, get on one track, and go forward. So to leave my fans and my viewers, I always want people to finish an episode and think like, damn, that was a good show. Wonder who you got coming on next. Or even if they didn't like it, I take, all criticism is good criticism. So I don't want anybody ever watching, I don't want to tell them I ain't like that, and then they tell somebody else they did like it, So I respect everybody's outlook on everything that I got going on, because like I said, the point is the support. Seeing the support is all I care about, and that's another thing. I don't want my viewers to think I'm doing something for support. The whole point of the show is not for support; it's to help others out. So long as people understand, that's what the social life is about. It's a platform for others. It's not a platform I created to get money out of, because I don't get paid for it. It's all out of love. So like I said, it's up to anybody to say, hey, I'll come on, or hey, I want to come on, promote my brand. So that's what I would like for people to get out of it, from seeing me on social media or in person, just knowing like, oh, this guy here is doing everything out of love. It's not for support. I'm not begging for support. I'm not asking for support. I want people to cling to what I got going on for their own reasons. So with that being said, just want to, like I said, just trying to make my mark. It's a lot of dope podcasts out here locally, so I'm just trying to be me. I'm not trying to be like anybody else, follow anybody else, Like I said, no copycat stuff, man. Just being authentic, being original, and being real. I just want to build my own legacy, and I want people to look at me and say, that dude, a real dude. That's to sum it all up. That's what I want to leave behind. So, and for people that want to know how to find me on social media, you can find me on Instagram at The Social Life with LLD, or you can go to the personal page. It's Ladies Love Dre. And on those two platforms, you can see everything I got going on, from every guest that's coming up. I'm always sharing upcoming artists, everything. So I'm keeping the content strict. So like I said, I want everybody to look at me and know that that's what I'm about. I barely advertise my own stuff. Everything that I post is always about who's coming on, who's been on, and what's coming up. So just leaving a mark in the local culture is my biggest goal. Just setting the tone.
Well, I appreciate you, big dog. Can't wait to see what you got coming up. Of course, I'm your cousin, so I love you, man.
Love you too, man. Appreciate you.